In a world of social media where everything is shared, it's just all too easy to compare our own artwork with that of others and maybe come away feeling not so good. And in a poll on YouTube this week, 76% of you told me that you're either sometimes or never happy with what you create. So today I'm sharing my 5 top tips to help you feel happier, as well as journaling a 2-page spread. I hope that this will help you have more fun and really enjoy your art and journal pages. And if this sounds like a great place to be, then hit the subscribe button and ring the little notification bell, because I have lots more videos and ideas to come. And in today's journal spread, I begin by stamping an image onto this old French dictionary. I'm using a Memento Dewdrop ink pad there and a La Blanche stamp with a beautiful butterfly and some blossom. I make sure that I get ink all over the stamp, and then I press down firmly to get a really crisp image. And today I'm going to be painting this image using a combination of my Arteza gouache and watercolour paints. I'm using gouache in the shades bronze and pearl purple iris, and the watercolour tubes that I'm using are blush pink and burnt sienna. And as we start this journal page, my first tip is to try to adopt the right mindset from the outset. So as you begin, have a vision of your own about what you want to do, and don't think that there's any right or wrong, and don't worry if what turns out is not the exact picture in your mind from the beginning. There's no such thing as failure, and there are no rules when it comes to art, so think about this as something to enjoy and not something to get right or wrong. I'm using the burnt sienna watercolour here, mixed with a little bit of the gouache in bronze to paint the branches. I think it's dark enough to show up really well. And it's very easy to paint with it, plenty of pigment and enough slip and glide on the paper. And it contrasts nicely with the leaves that I'm painting here using the watercolour palette on the left hand side. I mix a fair amount of yellow in with green to paint the leaves because I like it to have a really fresh spring and summer like feel. And my painting isn't perfect, I definitely go over the lines, but I'm not really worried because it's more about enjoying the process. And now I'm using the watercolour paint in blush pink, and I just mix that with a little bit of darker pink from the palette to get the colour that I want. And I want a very delicate shade of pink, so I have intentionally added quite a lot of water to the pink. For the butterfly wings I wanted a pearlescent shimmer, so I'm using the pearl purple iris, so the gouache colour, to get that effect. And you can see that I'm using just the tiniest amount. And I steal a little bit of that gouache in bronze for the butterfly's body and also the tip of the wings. Last week I made this vintage pocket, and that was from an old book page from a 1930s encyclopedia. I'm not yet sure whether I want a really simple one like this one at the front that we made a few weeks ago. I'm going to use these beautiful vintage photos as journaling cards and tuck them into the pocket. And another of my tips is to keep things simple, so all I've done here is print this page onto normal copy paper and just glue it with a glue stick down onto a piece of cardstock. So I need a pocket that will fit on one of these pages. In the past you might have seen me make these simple 2-tier pockets. But I feel like one of these 3-tier sloping pockets would be a bit more effective and make it easier to slide one of those photos in as a journaling card. So today I'm going to make a really simple sloping 3-tier pocket. I'm using a page from this old book. It's relatively large and quite square, which I think will work really well. Last week I did a more detailed tutorial on how to make this pocket, so do check that out if you're interested. Which brings me nicely to my third tip, which is use comparison for inspiration. Don't take a negative feeling when you watch something and think you can't do it, but maybe take away some thoughts and ideas and interpret those your own way so that you're inspired to do things slightly differently, to own them, to make them your own. And all of our journaling pages and our craft projects are going to be different anyway, because we all have slightly different supplies as well as styles and preferences. So my fourth tip is celebrate differences. Really be happy that you've got something that looks a bit different and isn't exactly the same as what we see on YouTube. So you might want to make this pocket but with different papers, or decorate it differently, or with different proportions. I want this one to open from the right. So I'm making a small fold at the top left. Making a smart right angle at the corner of that fold. I fold the opposite corner in. This one is a larger fold than the first one, making the creases nice and crisp. And then making a cut down the middle with my scissors. So maybe another example of keeping it simple and making things really fun and easy. And folding it up gives me this 3-tier sloping pocket. I just need to glue the back, and I'm doing it this way to make another pocket when I stick it to the page. I'd love to hear your tips for getting the most out of your journaling and your craft project, so do share your thoughts and drop a comment down below. Plenty of space here for photo journaling cards. And having used a simple book page, I can't resist adding just a little bit of decorative washi tape. So I'm using this one that marries well with the purple shimmer on the butterfly wings. It will also add a little bit more rigidity to the pocket. And now for those lovely vintage photos. I think I want to use this one and this one as journaling cards. This wider one and this one I'm going to keep for another project. And these photos were kindly sent to me by Rachel Tomlinson here on YouTube. I'll leave a link to her YouTube channel and to her Etsy shop where you can get them in the description box down below. Definitely check out her channel because it's incredibly vibrant and creative, and I really enjoy watching her videos. So it's a very easy job to separate them all with my paper trimmer. But first, to bring the pages together, I want to put a colour wash down. So I'm just doing that using the paints that I'd already mixed, so sticking to those colours to that colour palette. The two gouache paints have a metallic background within them, a metallic pigment, so that's actually showing up a bit more on the paper than you might be able to see. So I'm using the purple, the bronze and some of that vibrant fresh green on the left. And now the really fun bit, to bring it all together. When I painted the butterfly, I kept a few pages behind just to make the stamping and painting easier. So I just tear off the top sheet there. And now I'm giving the picture a slightly rougher edge and a bit more interest by tearing. That's on the top left and the bottom right, which does allow some of those coordinating tones to peek out from behind. I'm adding a little bit of layering here, I have some scrapbook paper in coordinating colours, and I think that will work nicely behind the butterfly. I think book pages are great for stamping on and painting. How do you use book pages in your journals and in your craft projects? Leave a comment down below. As you know, I love my corner rounder, so I'm just rounding 2 corners at the top. And I hope you can see how the colour wash on the right is coordinating with the painted image on the left. Time to stick down the pocket, but first I want to add some text on the upper right hand side of the page. So I'm just making a small mark so I know where to write. For which I need a dark pen, so I choose a black pen here from my set of Arteza Inconic fine liners. And I'm just jotting down those 5 tips that I've shared today. So that's adopt the right mindset from the outset, so get going in the right way. Use comparison for inspiration. Keep it simple, make life easy to have more fun. Celebrate differences. Be proud of doing it differently. Be proud of making it your own. And finally, be your own best friend. And by that I mean, when you've finished a project, step back and look at it and be kind to yourself as you would be to a friend of yours. And my question here today for you is, did these make sense? Have I missed anything? What would be your best tip for me and everybody else? I'm doing a border here in a matching shade of purple and making a few smaller hashes, again using the black pen. July is going to be an exciting month here on my channel, so watch out for some news around that. Plenty of glue on the back to stick it down. And I think these little photos look fabulous in the pocket here. I've added a bit of faux stitching around each of those photos, and I'm finishing off the page on the left with some rose gold washi tape. And this is my finished journaling spread. I hope that some of my tips today and some of my shared ideas will help you to feel happy with your crafting and your journaling. If you've enjoyed this, then hit the subscribe button and ring that little notification bell. I'll be back next week with some more junk and art journaling.